Good morning. I thought I didn't have time to read the book of Psalms, and then when I looked at the time, I was like, oh, I do have time. It's because my baby is still sleeping and my husband's running around, so. Okay. So this morning I'm going to be reading the book of Psalms, like I've been doing, chapters 50 through 52. Yes. So, here he goes. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion the perfection of beauty God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous around about him. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself, Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices of thy burnt offerings. To have been continually before me, I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goats out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. And I call upon me in the day of trouble, I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked God saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, then thou consentest with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I keep silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I shew the salvation of God. Chapter 51. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness. According unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee, thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear, when thou judgest before I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth. In the inward parts and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean, and wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken me rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not the Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from the blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall shew forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else should I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit. A broken and contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, which burnt offering of the whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. Psalms 52. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. The tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness, Selah. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thy deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy thee forever, and he shall take thee away, and pluck thee out of the dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living, Selah. And the righteous also shall see, and fear, and shall laugh at him. Lo, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusteth in the abundance of riches, and strengtheneth himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree. In the house of God I trust in mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise thee forever, because thou hast done it. And I will wait thy name, for it is good before thy saints. So, I just read 3 chapters of Psalms, and so I just made a video through YouTube about why, as a believer, it is important to go to church. So I want to remake what I said when it comes to that. So, for a very long time in my life, I was against going to church or any type of organizations. I grew up in the church since I was born, and it was age 13 or 14 when I turned my back against any type of organizations. That is a whole different story, and I will do a whole different video on a certain day or when I know is the right time. But now that I'm 29 years old, and so, like I said, I left an organization when I was 13, 14, and it was when, literally, probably when I was 27, when I was realizing how important it was to go to church. And I literally just started faithfully going back to church, and I'm 29. So I completely understand people's feelings about organized churches. But this is why I have realized how important it is. You are becoming a part of the body of believers on what you believe and what you believe and what you want to know, right? It's important to be with the people that want to go the same place that you're going, or be a part of a body that is learning and trying to understand what you are trying to understand. It's hard when other people don't believe the same thing that you do, or you're around people that are against it. You're going to be fighting certain things, and that's why it's so important to get around people that believe the same thing that you do. Granted, this is another thing. You need to understand that every person on this earth makes mistakes, and you're always going to have people that say stupid things to you, or say stupid things or do stupid things to you. That's in life in general. That's not even in a church setting. And I've learned that it's just important to be a part of people that want to go the same place. Have I had people say stupid things to me? Absolutely. Have I had people lay hands on me and I'm like, do not lay your hand on me ever again? Yes, I have. But what you need to do is forgive those people, because at the end of the day, yes, they might have bad intentions, but you're not going to church for them. You're going to church for God, who you believe in. Okay? Another reason why it's important to go to church is because you have to practice the spirit of forgiveness constantly. Constantly. You have to practice that state of forgiveness. Completely and fully. Sorry, I got a little distracted. And the reason for that is because, like I said, you're always going to have people saying things or doing bad things to you. And it's good to forgive, because when you hold that, all that does is manifest anger, bitterness, and God only knows other spirits that will come onto you when you keep on holding that unforgiveness. But when you go to church, you have to be in constant state of forgiving others and forgiving situations and learning to a next step that you've never learned before. Because at the end of the day, the last thing that God said before he left this earth, and people don't realize this, it was his last parable and last teaching. Okay? He said, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they do." Do you know that was his last teaching and parable? Because that was going to be the main struggle as human beings, was forgiving others and forgiving situations. So God as a man knew to say that, because he says to constantly forgive. Okay? And that's not just being in a church setting, that's constantly. You have to constantly forgive what people do to you, because if you think about it, we are all learning. We are all trying to go somewhere and not stay in the same place. So yes, that is why it's important as a believer to go, because you are practicing forgiveness. You are being part of the body that wants to understand and learn as you do. And it's also just to be in God's presence. If you're in a church that you feel like you're not in God's presence, then you pray for those people. You pray for that church. You pray for that pastor, because I'm going to say this to you, and you need to be very careful how you criticize pastors, because I've done it. Pray for the pastor, because he is the leader. He is the head of, and he is the vine of the tree to all those people. Okay? So pray for that pastor in particular, because he is the leader. He is the orchestrator. So pray for that pastor and pray for that church if you do not like that church. And look around for other churches. Okay? Look around. Sit in a church. Do what you need to do. But don't give up because you see something you don't like, because you're always going to be in situations that you don't like. And that's not even just church. So, with that being said, I'm done ranting. Well, not ranting, but teaching. And you guys have a wonderful day, and you'll probably be seeing me again soon.